Hey, what's goody, Frye gang? Now, Splatoon is probably one of the most unique games out there, especially for the shooter genre. We have many different weapons with many different sub-weapons, specials, different pairings for those subs and specials, gear and everything. And I like this system a lot, and I kind of wanted to go over all of the sub-weapons and talk about what they're based on, because a lot of them, if you look at them, they look very familiar to real world items. So I was wondering what every sub and special is based on. So for this video, we're going to go over all the sub weapons from the whole series 1, 2, and 3, and then the next video will be specials. So let's just get right into it. First, we're starting with Splat Bomb, and Splat Bomb seems to be a very makeshift kind of bomb, which kind of makes sense given the whole nature of Splatoon is all about like wacky, unprofessional stuff. And this just looks like an Inkling or an Octoling threw it together in a couple minutes. It is a bag of ink surrounded by supports that kind of form a period or a pyramid shape, and then the bag itself has wraps around the support to keep it held in place so it doesn't fall apart, and then obviously once it's thrown, the bag explodes. A lot of these are going to be like very makeshift things, like I said earlier, that like a child would throw together and think is cool, which is very in line with Splatoon, very in nature for it. But next we have suction bombs, and suction bombs are basically just spray paint cans but with suction cups on the end of them. So it's like an explosive spray paint can with a suction on it. That's where the suction bomb comes from. It's like a plunger, an explosive plunger. That's kind of dangerous, but I like the idea of suction bomb. It's one of my favorite subs. It's very fun to use, but it's got a very wacky inspiration for it. Next up is Burst Bomb, which is literally just a water balloon. It's just a water balloon, but something special about Burst Bomb is that we actually have an early model right here of Burst Bomb. This is an early Burst Bomb model, and it looks like instead of the white lines that we have in the final version, it was going to be either green or the same color as whatever your ink color is, but the stripes were going to be slightly darker. That's pretty cool, but I think the final version we have now is a lot more visually appealing. Next we have our very first Splatoon 1 exclusive sub, and that is the Seeker. The Seeker looks somewhat like a small boat. The main part is white and elliptical with part of the ellipse cut off in the back. There is what looks like a wheelhouse positioned near the back, as well as 2 guardrails on the side, and the small black motor is attached to the back, and near it is a flag bearing the user's ink color, as well as the main body is surrounded by inflatable tubes colored with the user's ink. Next we have Curling Bomb, and it is quite literally just based on a curling stone. It's even in the name of curling, but for those of y'all who don't know what curling is a sport and most prominently popular in Canada. But curling is a sport in which players slide stones on a sheet of ice towards a target area, which is segmented into 4 concentric circles. It is related to bowls and shuffleboard. 2 teams, each with 4 players, take turns sliding heavy polished granite stones, also called rocks, across the ice curling sheet towards the house, which is a circular target marked on the ice. Each team has 8 stones, with each player throwing 2. The purpose is to accumulate the highest score for a game, and points are scored for the stones resting closest to the center of the house at the conclusion of each end, which is completed when both teams have thrown all of their stones once. A game usually consists of 8 or 10 ends. But yeah, curling bombs are quite literally just based off of curling stones or rocks. Now the next one, Auto Bomb, is one of my favorite subs, and it actually has one of the most interesting inspirations. So the Squid Research Lab revealed it was based on the design of the Shinkai 6500, a submersible used by Jamstack, as well as we can also see this submarine design as a background element in Abracadabra Station and Octo expansion. But for those of you who don't know what Jamstack is, it stands for Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology, and they are a real-life national research institute who also had some collabs with Splatoon for a Splatfest and some gear. But Autobomb definitely has one of the most interesting inspirations, I think. Next we have Ink Mine, which is based off of a landmine. This one is a twofer, as Disruptor and Toxic Mist have basically the exact same design. There are a couple of differences, but the inspiration for this seems to just be like a glass vial of toxic mist, of like poisonous gas that you throw at an enemy. It breaks open and the gas releases. You can also see the Nouveau logo on both of them, although it is a lot easier to see it on the Toxic Mist over here on the right. Now, point sensor was a bit hard to find something on, but it looks relatively like what you'd expect a sensor to look like. You can see the 4 antennas on each corners. This kind of just looks like a sensor. It looks like a black box, like something you'd find in like any type of machinery, like a plane or a submarine. Sometimes I'll have black boxes to record certain information, and I guess this kind of looks like that, which is close enough. Recording information, sensing changes in information, or it kind of maybe reminds me of a radar in a submarine or something. There's a lot of like submarine references, I guess, because Splatoon is based on sea life. You get the idea, but I wasn't really able to find what point sensor is based on, but it looks about as you'd expect what a sensor would look like. Now this next one, Splash Wall, this one is really hard to think of anything else other than what I'm thinking of. I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but it kind of looks like an IUD. But if you don't know what that is, please don't worry about it. It's fine. You probably shouldn't anyway. But other than that, I guess I could say it looks like a double light bulb, like a double lighted street light. I guess that's the closest thing. But other than that, every time I see Splash Wall, my mind immediately goes to IUD. Do not look that up if you don't know what it is. It's probably for the best. Next we have Sprinkler, which is based on its name. It's literally just a sprinkler. But just like Burst Bomb, we actually have an early model of it right here. And it kind of looks like one of those old telephones on top of a bell. It's definitely been vastly improved to look more like a sprinkler in the real world. But I think the early design is pretty interesting. Next we have Squid Beacon, which is another one based on some type of machinery. The Squid Beacon most likely was inspired by an airport surveillance radar just mounted on a camera tripod. So I like how a lot of these are just bringing two very unlikely things together and just mashing them together, and then there's a sub. Alright, it's kind of funny. Next is my absolute favorite sub in the entire series, Fizzy Bomb, or as I like to call it, Splodacan. I think that is a much better name for it. It's a lot more punny, which Splatoon is very big on puns. Now I get Fizzy Bomb because first of all, the company that made it is named Fizzy, but also because soda fizzes when it's shaken, which is the entire point of the sub. It's literally a soda can that you shake, throw it at your opponent, and then it explodes because it's been shaken up so much, the carbonation buildup and all of that. But I think Splodacan is a much cooler name. First, it's a soda can and it explodes, so explode, sploda, just it kind of just fits perfectly together. So I think it's a very big missed opportunity to not name it Splodacan. Anyway, as I said, it's just a soda can with some metal bearings around it. And we also have a very early version of Fizzy Bomb. There's actually a design for the very early version of it, but if you want to see what it looks like, you gotta go find it in one of my cut content videos. All right, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it has to be. Next we have Torpedo, which actually has a lot more inspiration than you would probably think. A lot of you might not know this, but they're actually designed after single-use soy sauce packets shaped like sea breams, which were popularized by Kikkoman. And you can see them here. They look damn near identical, and they're actually kind of adorable. But the tail is actually turned into the propeller in what the torpedo uses to fly through the air. And the nozzle is a little bit skinnier and protrudes out a bit more, with the cap being connected to another piece of plastic instead of it being a twist top. It's really adorable, and I like this one a lot. Next we have everybody's favorite sub weapon, and that is Angle Shooter. I mean, you can just see it just by looking at it. This is very clearly just a highlighter. That's all it is. It's literally just like the tip of a highlighter, not really much else to it. Last but not least, we have Small Frye, who is based off of a small fry. And that's it. There it is. Every single sub weapon from the Splatoon series. Now this video was shorter than I expected or longer than I expected. I don't really know how long this is going to be, but it's going to be either one of those. Now I did sub weapons first because there's just less of them than specials. Specials will take a bit longer. So at first I wanted to do a video on what every weapon is based off of, but Chara already made that video. So I was like, okay, there's no point since he already made it. Everyone's seen that one. I don't know if he's done one for subs and specials. I wouldn't doubt it, but I mean, shit, that topic is fun regardless to make a video on, so I might as well. But yeah, that's it. Next video is going to either be one of two things. It's either going to be the specials or that combo video I hinted at a while ago. Very similar to the Grizzco video I made, so keep an eye out for that. But other than that, that's really about it. So see you next mission and play some goddamn Splatty.